There's consequences for good thoughts and there's consequences for negative thoughts. We've got a choice and we have to be aware of that choice. But we're not aware of the choice because nobody teaches you in the house. They don't teach us in school. They don't teach you in college. They don't teach you in uni. They teach you words. How can we not change our mind when a negative thought comes in? We're not doing the work. Nobody's teaching us. Change the thought. Because if you run with the thought's going to hurt you. That's your mental health. That's your addiction. You're addicted to the way you think. It's habitual patterns of thinking that we just run with every day. We don't see it in mind yet. Then we're sitting and we don't want to live. Our children are watching us, frightened.
There's a saying that the mind can be a beautiful gift or a terrible master. And if you believe that your thoughts in some way create your reality, you'll probably understand that thinking is the source of much of our struggles and plays a very big part in mental health problems. On this week's episode, we invite on an educator, a teacher and a writer by the name of Gerry Murphy. Gerry's an inspirational guy who's been on his own journey of change from dysfunction, growing up in a poor part of Glasgow, experiencing alcoholism, addiction and mental health problems to an extreme degree, but coming through that and using that lived experience for the last 25 years of being clean and sober and mentally well to help other people on their journey. Gerry's got a unique message to send to all of us about the power of our thoughts and the role that they play in determining the outcomes in our life, including around our mental health. We'd like to say a huge thank you to everybody who's played their part in contributing towards this series on mental health, and we're looking forward to sharing Gerry's episode with you now. But if you're enjoying the content, please take the opportunity to click the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again and enjoy the episode.
Right, whenever you're ready, lads.
Okay.
I'll kick us off.
Yeah, mate, you go for it.
Hi Gerry.
Hello, Alan.
Welcome to the YouRevolution.
Thank you, my friend, for asking.
Really grateful that you've taken the time to speak to us today. We'd love to hear, I suppose, to start off, your backstory, where you came from and the journey that you've been on personally.
Yes, well, I know I've not got much time, but I'll keep it briefly. I was born and bred in the Gorbals in 1959. I was brought up with a lot of dysfunctional behaviours. Probably dysfunction is the biggest word I'll ever use. We've been brought up there with a lot of poverty. Mum and dad had split up. When I was about 5, I was 7 kids, so my dad had to take care of him, took his job and take care of us all. But you don't know as a young boy what's going on. You don't know anything about feelings or emotions because nobody teaches you. So my dad ended up becoming a heavy drinker, becoming very angry and aggressive. And that's the way I ended up, and the way nearly all our family ended up. It wasn't my dad's fault. No, he'd had to chuck a job, his wife left him, he's got 7 kids back in the early 60s in Glasgow. So you kind of brought up, you don't know what's happening to you, there's no love in the home. You're not receiving any love because your parents can't give any love because nobody gave them love. So I started stealing at a very early age, about 6 or 7. Started drinking. I can remember my dad, God rest him, used to work in the bookies, Marc the board, and in the toilet was all the wee miniatures of whiskey and half bottles and quarter bottles, and I used to fill them up and start drinking, and it made me feel good, it gave me a good wee glow inside, a wee feeling. And that was the start of it, that was it. I ended up, from the age of 12 right up to 35 years of age, I ended up in a very angry, very violent, very aggressive. Ended up in 4 mental institutions for my thinking. Locked up in a padded cell, straight jacket on, and pumped up with Ligacto. He told I was clinically and mentally insane. Ended up in 16 or 17 drug and alcohol clinics throughout my life. My life was just full of thieving, stealing, chasing money, believing if I had money I'd be happy. So I chased that, being brought up in poverty. I believed if I had money I'd be happy because I kept looking at what everybody else had and my head was telling me they must be happy. So if I had what they had, I'll be happy. So I went out and tried to get it. And I became a thief, a liar, drug dealer, money lender, a guy who wanted to end his own life on 12 occasions, hated myself, hated everybody else, blamed everybody, blamed my parents, blamed the school, blamed the abusers, blamed the church, blamed this God I was brought up with, blamed everybody. I could never ever get what I've got today because I was blaming. It was horrible. I mean, I didn't find recovery till I was 35 years of age. It was 25 years ago. And that was my journey, basically. I couldn't read and write. I had no education at 35. When I came into recovery, I started working with an organisation called Fairbridge in Postal Park in Glasgow. It taught me how to read and write. And I was working with young kids at risk, which is similar to stuff. And it's funny how the universe works. No, I was only at the rehab, my last rehab, in 1995. I was only at a week when I got this job. Never been for an interview, it never worked. And that was brilliant. And they taught me how to drive, paid for it, sent me to day school, night school, college and uni, where I studied counselling, therapy, psychology, all different types of academical programmes. And I went there and worked, and that, since 1995 I've been working with people hands on every day, 7 days a week. I found out through my counselling, psychology and the therapy, none of them taught me how to change. The programme, beautiful as they are, but they never taught me how to change. It's academic. No, I had to come through the lived experience. Is the only thing we have in life is experience. It took me a long time to recognise that. And that's when I started changing, when I recognised that everything I was taught at college and uni and all the books, and it's just words. It's only words. There was no understanding behind the word. What does that mean? We weren't get explained. Nobody teaches you as a child in the home what the feelings are, what the emotions are, that you're responsible for them. We just blame. We don't know what's going on in the body, the horrible sensations that's going through your body that we use on and we pick up on and we gamble and we overeat and we get angry and upset with a sensation in our body. And I wanted rid of that. I had to break a cycle of dysfunction in my home and in my life so that my son could have a chance of being free of this fear that we live with. Because it's ordinary fear, but I didn't know what fear was. I know that fear is the opposite of love, but I didn't know what fear was. Even through my counselling, psychology, they were explaining it, but they never gave me the explanation that I found myself through false expectations appearing real in my mind. Was fear, mind thoughts, gathering false evidence, creating horrible feelings and sensations in my body, going away into the future, creating anxiety and panic attacks, staying in myself and feeling horrible feelings and sensations through my own thoughts. No knowing, none being aware I had a choice, no understanding what was happening to me, no understanding what happened to me as a child and why I ended up like that, being an innocent child who loved everybody and everything, who had no racism, no bigotry, no hatred, no venom, no resentment, walked about naked without a care in the world, would look people right in the eye and say to them, I don't like you. I'd go way back playing with my toys. Children speak the truth. They're born in love, they're born in light, and they're born in the truth. And that was me. That's the way I was born. What I learned in my home and environment through watching and listening, because it's the only way you can learn. You learn as a child. I learned as a child on an unconscious level, through watching and listening to everything I saw and heard in my home, sitting on my wee high chair, and through my whole life listening to all that, watching how mummy and daddy behave, siblings, people coming into the house, and then you go outside to the big world. And what you're learning in your home, you're also learning in your environment, the way people speak, you're copying. You don't know you're a people pleaser, you're not aware of the peer pressure, you're not aware of the fear, you know what I mean? You're not aware of that fear, nobody teaches you. So you go through your whole life full of fear. And that was my journey. I ended up with all sorts of diseases and illnesses and arthritis and Bell's palsy 7 times on both sides of my face, the only guy in Scotland. And it was horrible. I ended up burning on my stomach, cancer. I ended up spondylitis in my spine, and I heard the saying, heal thyself, physician. And that was the beginning of my journey, where I met my partner Lorraine, and we put together our own programme called Empowering by Example, a lived experience programme. Now every human being's got lived experience. You're taught in counselling, psychology and therapy, not self-disclosure when appropriate. I went, well, that's wrong. The only way I can help people is being open, humble, vulnerable and honest with them, and giving them identification, so they go, right, brilliant. And then teaching them to understand what happened to them as children, where all the pain came from, all the triggers come from, and through understanding and awareness you can heal.
This episode is the kind of culmination of a series that we've been working on for a number of months around mental health. And obviously in Scotland there's a huge mental health epidemic taking place at the moment. Lots of anxiety, lots of depression, lots of addiction, lots of, much more suicide. You've talked in the past, I've heard you talk about the power of thoughts. I'd love to hear your take on where thinking and the power of thoughts fits in with what's happening with mental health.
Well, it's quite simple really. We complicate it because of our ego and the things that we've learned, the things that we've studied. I mean, the head's full of knowledge, words, thoughts. Words and thoughts are energy. How do we know that? It takes you a long time to recognise it. Sometimes you'll listen to people and you'll go, nah, load of crap, just the ego, no wanting you to get well. Comes through practice, you start to understand. The only bit of pain that I ever had in my life came through me. Physically I can be hurt with other people. Mentally and spiritually I've done it myself, through what I'd learned. The only thing that hurt me was my thoughts. The way I'd learned to think. The difficult part in society is to change that. You've got tons of programmes out there, academic programmes out there, none of them talk about the thoughts, how to recognise them, how to challenge them, how to change them, how to become aware and understand them. There's none of that out there. That's why the world is in such a mess. I'm not saying what the Lorraine and I done is the solution. It is a solution, it's a preventive, it's a recovery, it's a healing, it's an educational programme. It's called Empowering by Example. I had to learn to take responsibility because I blamed my whole life. And learning to take responsibility was difficult because it's easier to blame than it is to take responsibility. But my thoughts were so powerful, they drained me. How do I know my thoughts were energy? How did I know my thoughts were the problem? Very simple. When I'm doing a good deed, I'm helping somebody, I'm having kind, loving thoughts, the way I did when I was a child. I feel it in my body. I feel it. The sensations are beautiful. When I'm being kind or loving and somebody's saying nice or I've helped somebody, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm giving love, I'm showing love, and I'm getting back what I'm giving. And when I'm sitting there and I'm worrying about a habit, being angry, judgmental, critical, criticising myself, criticising other people, judging other people, belittling other people, gossiping about other people, holding resentment, hatred, badness, bigotry, sectarianism. How did my body feel? Because that's how I used to be. How did my body feel? Looking horrible. The sensations, the feelings, the emotions, unbelievable. The head racing 100 miles an hour, can't shut it up. The only way I could shut it up was with dragging, taking alcohol, gambling, having sex, looking for something on the outside to fix the inside. And it never happened. My thoughts were so powerful that they took me to standing on a chair to put a noose around my neck where I wanted to kill myself. Just my thoughts. There's nobody else sitting in the house with me. Nobody else sitting in the chair with me. I'm doing it myself. And that's the insane part of us humans. That I can allow my own thoughts to dictate my life, how I feel. My own thoughts take me to where I don't want to go, make me feel the way I don't want to feel. My own thoughts. And that's what destroyed me. I'm not my thoughts. I look at all the children I've worked through, right up to the age of 6 and 7, where they walk about naked. They don't think, they live in the moment. They sit and play with their toys and talk to their imaginary friends. that we can't see because we're no innocent. And every child does it. How's it not documented? How's it not written about? They're innocent. They speak their truth. They love everybody and everything. I wanted that. I wanted to get back to that. I knew I could get that. I knew if I could learn to quiet my mind, I'd be the master over my own mind. No through books, through practicing every single day to get what I believe is rightfully mine. Through watching my son, my grandchildren, my other grandchildren, people's grandchildren, other children for 25 years, working with them, families, children. I've worked with every crisis in life. Our programme Empowering by Example is the only programme that we know of. It works with every age group and every crisis in life, every crisis. Because it stems back to what we've learned. And the horrible thing is it's only the thoughts. The thoughts are draining us. You think, when you're thinking you have to go for an interview, for talking say example, and you're up all night worrying about that interview the next day, worrying, doing it yourself, causing stress. There's no people that's took a wee vodka before they went for it, they've took Valium, they've took it even before they go for a driving licence, taking a wee Valium or a wee half to calm them down. This is adults with children. I mean, are riddled with fear and controlled by fear and allow the fear to control them through the thoughts. Just through thoughts. This is the only thing that's wrong with every human being is their mind and the way we've learned to think and the way we've learned to react to these thoughts. And it's the thoughts that drain you. It's the thoughts that cause mental health. Just your thoughts, mental health. When you're thinking positive, thoughts of gratitude, thoughts of love and compassion, you don't feel fear. You don't feel any horrible energy draining you inside, but it then comes out in the body. I didn't end up with Bell's palsy, cancer, arthritis, spondylitis through being a positive thinker. I didn't want to take my own life through being a positive thinker. I didn't become an addict and an alcoholic through being a positive thinker. I was so negative, it destroyed me. I was so negative, so dark. I was so hurt. I was so angry, so full of blame. I couldn't change. I didn't know how to change. I was stuck with these thoughts, habitual patterns of thoughts since the age of 8, right up till I was 35. And the same patterns of thoughts, learned behaviour, learned patterns of thinking, took me into addiction, took me into hatred, took me into hating myself, took me into hating other people. Just my thoughts. Nobody took me by and made me do that. I'd done that myself because I'd learned it. It was a habit, and old habits die hard, and that's why change is so difficult.
It was at this point we took a wee break, and it got me thinking about the first spiritual book that I ever read, which was The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer always preached about how our thoughts create our reality, and that we have the power to create a whole new experience just by changing how we look at things. This is the same message we're hearing from Gerry, only it's 10 times stronger because he's a West of Scotland guy most people watching this can relate to, and Gerry's overcome the toughest of struggles. And the beauty of Gerry Murphy's story is that by him no longer tolerating negative self-talk and instead consciously choosing more positive, loving, kind thoughts, he not only healed his body of disease, but Gerry completely transformed his life. So Gerry, so you've told us how your thoughts had created disease within your body, how it got you to a terrible place, your life wasn't working out. How did you begin to change things? How did you begin to turn it around?
I'd read all the books, I'd watched all the people on YouTube, on spiritual people, personal development, and I had all this knowledge, tons of it, but I wasn't practising it. I wasn't doing the things that were suggested because of the habits. Because you got up every morning, it's the same routines, the same habits. Change is difficult. Change is extremely difficult. No hard, difficult. Hard as wood. When you say the word hard, you won't do it. I came to the point where I had all these qualifications and I was crying because I was a hypocrite. I was a pure hypocrite. I was out there trying to help people, teach people to change, and I hadn't changed myself. And ended up crying in recovery, 15 years. And it broke my heart, where I knew I was being a hypocrite. I'd noticed it everywhere else. I was judging other people, and I didn't like myself for doing what I was doing. And I was getting paid right good money. I was working as a consultant with the NHS and the government, and they were paying me 50 grand a year. That was no bad for a wee junkie for the Gorbals, a wee alkie for the Gorbals. So, but I walked away from it after a year. I was crying, I was still angry, I was still hurt. I had all these qualifications, I had all this knowledge going on in my head, but it was just words and thoughts. And that's when I had to give it up, and that's when I gave up that job, and I took 3 years out, and I went up to the woods and up the hills, and I learned to quiet my mind with no talking back to it, no answering it back, no having a conversation with it. Knowing that the thought creates a feeling and an emotion and a sensation in your body. And I knew that because I'd experienced it. And the only thing that the universe taught me was, in my family who I talked to in spirit said to me, the only thing that's hurting you is you, son. And the only person that can change that is you. That's when I changed. I learned to breathe. Now, if you were to do it now, say you were to breathe in just for 4 seconds, right? Nice and easy and slowly for 4 seconds. Then breathe it for 4 seconds, nice and easy. If you do that 3 times, you'll see that there's no thoughts go through your mind, nothing, because you're focusing on the breath. You're in the moment, you're in the now. There is no pain in this moment. When we leave the moment, we start getting into the future or the past. That's where the pain is. And remember, we use drugs and alcohol and gambling and sex and getting into debt as a painkiller. It's only a painkiller, it's not the addiction. That's the dependency. Society got that wrong. Your addiction is your thoughts. You're addicted to the way you think on a daily basis. You depend on the drink, the drugs, the gambling to take away the pain. That's your painkiller. Because the head's racing too fast, the thoughts are going too fast, you can't shut it up. So we take something. I learned, no. I had to learn to empower myself with taking responsibility for their thoughts. Because there was nobody there hurting me. When I was sitting in the house and in the car and out in the street, I was doing it myself out of habit. To break the habit and become aware of the thoughts and understand what they're doing to me and understand where I learnt them, I could then change them. The change then comes through recognising. You have to recognise the thoughts. You have to own them. Right? That's the difficult part, taking responsibility for them. Once you recognise them, your body is brilliant, because your body is your thermometer. Your body is letting you know when your head's went, because you feel it in your stomach. And that's your body warning you, you've let your head went. To me, it's the spirit warning me, like, come on, check that out, what are you doing? Look at that. And as quick as you run with that thought, your feelings get worse and worse and worse. And you're still running with them, and still running with them, and still running with them. So to change that is to catch it. Recognise it and catch it. And just say, I'm not going there. There's consequences for good thoughts, and there's consequences for negative thoughts. We've got a choice, and we have to be aware of that choice. But we're not aware of the choice because nobody teaches you in the house. They don't teach us in school. They don't teach you in college. They don't teach you in uni. They teach you words. An academic programme. Again, for academic people who are not using the lived experience that they have, align with the academic programme. That's what me and Lorraine are trying to do, put our programme in to help them understand, so that we can break the cycle of dysfunction in Scotland, where people can start helping their children and breaking this cycle. We're looking at the thoughts, watching the way we speak to our children, watching the words that come out our mouth, knowing that the words that we are thinking are causing the sensations and feelings in your body. When you turn around and say, I can't, the famous Scottish word, I can't do that, you'll not do it. Every word has got a consequence. Every word. When you say I can, you will do it, because you're now challenging the negativity. You're now recognising it, what you would never done before. You're now becoming aware of it, like you weren't before. Now you can start to challenge the thought through the feeling, because when your body is reacting It's telling you change the thought right away on the spot. How can you know? You can do it. You can do anything. There is nothing impossible. We're the masters of our own destiny. We're the masters of our own mind. We don't know that. How do I know that? I was a head case. I was a fucking head case. How did I learn to change my life 360? Right round? Because I wanted to. I wanted to. I'm sick of the pain I was causing my son, my ex-wife, my partners, my family. Telling people what to do instead of empowering them. And I felt so bad. It's when I learned to take responsibility and own and practice this every day, because that's the word that people need to remember, is practice. If I want to pick a guitar up, I'm never going to play it until I practice it. Never. I'll sit and look at it. My fingers will get sore and I'll put it down again and I'll gear it up. That's what people do in life. Gets too sore, we just gear up. No. Knowing that a thought can't hurt you. A thought can't hurt you. Thoughts and words, right? They can't hurt you. Right? They're not daft. Thoughts and words can't hurt you. When you feed them and talk back to them, answer them back, believe the lies that they're telling you, you're in trouble, man. You're believing the lies. You're believing that you are scum. You're believing that you're stupid because you were told that as a child. One word can destroy you, but it was said to you as a child, causing the mental health, causing the addiction. Just one word. You've got the watching your mum dying through addiction, forgetting that you're an addict now, forgetting the pain that they went through, keeping you trapped in your addiction and mental health, with judging, condemning and blaming what I've done. None of us are saints. This is a journey. It's about self-discovery, learning through your mistakes, learning through your pain. Because the only thing that ever taught me, the only thing, and I mean this sincerely, was my pain. When I felt the pain, I had to take responsibility. That's how I started changing. My pain was my greatest teacher. But the biggest teacher is, and your greatest teacher of all time, is people. People are your teachers. Where we live here is your training ground, and earth, people are your teachers. How can I explain that? The only way you'll ever measure your progress is when you're put back in beside people you hate, people you resent, people you judge, people you condemn, people you're frightened of, people you're intimidated of. And the only way you'll measure your progress is when you're back in that situation and you'll see you're not reacting the way you used to react. You're not thinking the way you used to think. You can walk away going, brilliant, that's my work, that's my practice. Every day you'll get better. This doesn't take years. I'm trying to help people through my 25 years of mistakes, through all my studying, and not being able to change. No programme taught me how to change. No course at university or college taught me how to change. None of them. Not one of them. You go through all your traditions and approaches, none of them teach you how to change. Why is that? Because a true teacher is somebody who's applied to their life what they're going to teach other people. That way they become an example. And that's where I had to change and become an example to my son, my grandson, my partner, people that I work with, seeing me where I came from to where I am today. How did you get there, Gerry? Then they come and ask. And I teach them how to quiet the mind, how to recognise it, not to... It's a chatterbox, it's an energy box. And when that's quiet and there's nothing going on in there, it's empty, you feel that energy, you are one, nothing going on. When you start to first thing in the morning, all through the day, worrying, scared, anxiety, panic attacks, anger, hatred, resentment, and think that's alright. People think that's alright. It's normal. My pals are all doing it, because like attracts like. When I was a Glasgow man, I thought I was a Glasgow gangster. I ran about with hard men, and people who thought the same as me, same thinking, same behaviours. We wouldn't let anybody into our team or our gang who spoke polite and carried a briefcase or wore a suit and a shirt and tie. They wouldn't be in, they wouldn't like us, so like attracts like. The man with the briefcase and the suit and the shirt and tie on, and I hang around with men with suits and shirts and ties and briefcases. Maybe hung about the guys that talked out the side of their mouth, talked like gangsters, wanted to be gangsters, talking a load of crap. We could get away with it because we were all people pleasers, we were all frightened of one another. I mean, you had to say what you had to say, because if you said something different you wouldn't be in the gang. So we're frightened. We're frightened. And that's what's wrong with society. We're controlled by fear. People are now recognising that you don't need to live in fear, you can live in love. Get a bit of humility and get a bit of gratitude into your life. How are you not grateful? You're not grateful that you can see me. You're not grateful that you can hear me. You're not grateful that you could walk, that you've got arms. You're not grateful that you can breathe. Are you not grateful you've got a roof over your head? You might have a couple of pound in your pocket. That you're clean for a day, that you're sober for a day, that you're working hard on yourself. People are starting to love you. You're not grateful. We're not grateful. We're not grateful for what we've got. Simple things in life. That's what gave me what I've got. I'm grateful every single day that I'm brave and other people are not here, family, friends. I'm grateful what the universe has taught me, that I can help other people with my experience. Remember, every human being has got what I've got. I'm no different. People say, oh, a lived experience, but there's people coming into recovery with lived experience and then relapsing and dying. Lived experience is being able to share that lived experience with others, to empower them as an example, to give them hope, to give them strength, knowing that I can change my thought. How do I know that? How many times do you change your thought during the day? You get up in the morning, I'm going to wear that jacket, no, I'll wear that jacket. I'm going to buy a fish supper, no, I'll buy a pie supper. I'm going to paint the house white, no, I'll paint it magnolia. How many times you change your mind? How can we not change our mind when a negative thought comes in? It's not, I mean, we're not doing the work. Nobody's teaching us. Change the thought, because if you run with the thought's going to hurt you. That's your mental health. That's your addiction. You're addicted to the way you think. It's habitual patterns of thinking that we just run with every day and don't see it in mind yet. Then we're sitting and we don't want to live. And our children are watching us, frightened. But unless we look at ourselves, take responsibility, become powerful examples to our children and friends, when they see we can change their thoughts. When we work on it every day, you'll see the energy will change every day. If you're being sincerely grateful that you're starting to understand what's wrong with you.
It's interesting you talked about that. It's like as you grow your awareness and you begin to bring that light more into your life, it's like your energy field begins to attract in like-minded individuals.
Yes.
All of a sudden people start, the teachers begin to come into your life, and you can begin to really expand and grow. There'll be people out there, Gerry, you know, you've talked about it there, they might be in a state of dysfunction, and it's on a spectrum, you know, they could be down here or they could be up there. And there'll be people who might want to be drinking less, they want to, you know, get over a mental health problem, they want to be taking less drugs, they want to be a better father, a better partner, whatever it might be. What is your practical advice? A couple of things, a couple of practices that maybe you've employed to keep yourself in the place you are right now, that you would suggest to other people that could be really helpful in their journey?
The simple thing that I done was to start me changing. I got up every morning as soon as my feet hit the ground. As soon as they hit the ground, I say thank you. Now, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know any human being that's met God. I don't know any human being that sat down and had a cup of coffee with this God. I mean, he came and says, I've met God. I don't know any human being that's met God. I've experienced a power and an energy through change. I've experienced healing. I've experienced tears of joy running down my face and gratitude, man. And that's the best suggestion I could give. As soon as your feet touch the ground and you get up in the morning, you say thank you. It's the greatest mantra and most powerful prayer on the planet, is just thank you. But meaning it. And if you could do that for even just say 21 days, a wee challenge, right, get up in the morning, break the habit of just getting up and brushing your teeth or shaving or going for a shower, just sit and take time out and say thank you for what you have in your life that other people haven't got. That's your first, you'll see changes. Now you've got to mean it, you've got to mean it. No matter if you're not feeling it, you've got to mean it. And when you mean it, in 21 days, I'll guarantee you, that one morning you're sitting there and the tears will just run down your face, tears of pure joy. And you do that at night before you go to your bed. What you take to bed at night with you is what you wake up in the morning with. So you need to watch what you're reading, who you're speaking to, what you're watching. It's all detrimental to your spirit and your energy. If you can go to bed at night doing that and get up every morning doing that, you'll see massive changes in your life within 3 weeks. Massive changes. The other suggestion is we have to practice like anything. How long did it take you to read and write? How long did it take you to play the guitar? It takes you a while. Change is difficult. Once you accept that, you know, within days I'll start getting better, within weeks I'll get better. And it's learning just to breathe. Right? All anxiety, all panic attacks, all stress, all worry, all comes through fear. Fear is the root to your problem. Everything comes through fear: resentment, anger, jealousy, envy, greed. Everything stems through fear. Right? Fear is the root, and it dresses itself up. Once you become aware of that and you want to live in love, and you practice catching these thoughts every day, you just breathe. Breathe in, breathe out slowly. No thoughts can come in, practice it. Breathe in, breathe out slowly. When you're cleaning the house, when you're driving the car, when you're walking, when you're out with the kids, you go up the forest. You start doing things for yourself. You start getting out wee walks, getting in touch with nature, getting in touch with yourself, getting to know yourself, through being kind to yourself, through being loving to yourself, through being, you think what you do to yourself, right? The thoughts, the words. I'm a bad parent, I'm a bad this, I'm a bad that, I'm no good at this, I'm no good at that. I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't. You think you're the words that we use, you need to become aware of these words. It's bringing you down, and the words it's bringing other people down. If you think that's alright, then continue doing it, because you'll never change and you'll never be happy. These are disciplines and practices for you to change. How else do you think you're going to change? Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to practice it. You go for an apprenticeship, you take 4 years. How long did it take you to read and write? You went to school for 12 years, what did you learn? You went to college for 2 and then uni for 3. You spent 15 years of your life doing something you probably didn't want to do. What did you learn for it? How do I know teaching what I'm speaking at school? This is the most important thing.
Now I understand, a guide to life in layman's terms. This is the book that Gerry and his partner Lorraine Buchanan wrote together to share their life wisdom with the world. In the book, Gerry and Lorraine share openly their struggles with life, recovery, and how their pain became their greatest teacher. The book shares wise guidance and explains the process of life for anyone starting their own journey of change, but are maybe struggling to understand what to change and how to change.
How's this not being taught in schools? What are they teaching all the other stuff for? And people are coming to see me who want to end their life. I've had teachers here, I've had priests here, I've had nuns here, I've had bishops here, I've had scientists here, I've had counsellors here, therapists, psychologists, all come to see me. Why? Why is that? How have they not been taught this? How are you not practising change? First thing in the morning, last thing at night, up every day. Challenging yourself, challenge the thought, you've got to challenge it. If you just run with it and that horrible feeling's created, then you're teased out. You'll just sit there with it. And the poor me, sitting on your wee pity pot, having a wee pity party to yourself every single day, thinking that's normal, thinking that's alright for your kids to see you doing that. Whoa, you want to change, you need to look at you, oneself. This journey is my journey. I am responsible for this journey. I'm responsible for this mind, I'm responsible for this body, I'm responsible for this spirit. I'm responsible for what comes out of my mouth. I'm responsible for what I think. I'm responsible for how I feel. I'm responsible. Me. And I know I can change. I know I can change. There's nothing will stop me from changing. Not a thing will stop me from changing. That's my goal now when I've listened to this guy. Every day I will be watchful, observant of my thoughts, and my body will tell me when I've went into that habit of self-loathing, judgment, criticising, gossiping, being greedy, being materialistic. When you catch that and recognise that, you will see the feelings, the sensations in your body, everything changes. Your feelings change, your circumstances change, your personal relationships change, your health changes, your finances changes. When you change.
Wow. thank you so much.
Is that alright?
That was tremendous.